Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Welcome and welcome back. If this isn't your first time to the King Status Podcast, where the status quo is reaching self highness, not just for you, but for me as well. Welcome with me, your host, Mr. Morning King, along with,
Mr. Prolific, aka J Duce.
if
I
do say so,
myself.
welcome, and remember, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the King Status Podcast. We appreciate your support thus far. Always appreciate it. We thank you. What's up? What's up, my man?
What's going on, man? It's
What's
been a little
happening?
minute. You know what I'm saying? We back at it. You know what
Back.
I'm saying? We ain't go nowhere. We chilling. You know what I'm saying? Gotta
Right.
get to this wine. We chilling, man. How you?
Right, man. I'm good, man. I'm good, and I'm gonna have some news at the end as well. But man, I'm good. I'm good, man. I had
What you been
Was-
up to? How's
was-
life?
was able to everything is cool, man. You know, sometimes we all need our reset and
Oh,
all, and it was like every shoot day was aligning with some important day. That's why I was like, because then it was like when your birthday came, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna ask him to shoot on his birthday, even if you was willing to. I was like, that's the reason why tomorrow is my anniversary. So I'm
Yeah.
like, that's why I was like, oh, yo, we gotta just push the day up. So, but man, everything has been good, man. How was you? Well, I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry, because I was like, I was about to ask you a question. Then I was like, hold on, let me just finish what I was
Your
saying.
monologue? Yeah, go ahead. Get
Yo,
to the monologue.
no. I was like, when I was saying sometimes we need a reset and all. Sometimes I'm not even gonna lie, and I was kind of open about it. Like, it was some moments I was just feeling unmotivated. Like sometimes I deal too much in real life. Uh, like when I deal with real life, I'm just from, I'm a millennial, so in certain ways, like we know what it's like to be social and everything before just looking at social media. So I'm like, I know how to disconnect from the social media to deal with real life and handle real life. And sometimes, like, I'm just still in that place of, hey, when I gotta focus on this, I have to focus on that. So,
Mhm.
which is now, I know some people can say like they can deal with it and all that, but I know I still had a responsibility and obligation to the show and
To you guys,
what
to the fans.
yeah, and to the fans. You're right. Absolutely. And thank you for correcting me too, because
Yes.
definitely. So that's why I just tried getting myself back into the swing of things and really learning certain crafts again and building myself up and just getting to it. Uh, and I'll talk about the positive things
Yeah.
on the other end. But how you been, my boy?
Man, I've been good. Well, I've been grinding in a sense. Like, work picked up, just been busting my ass trying to, get handle. The man who does everything sometimes can do nothing, and that still feel like everything. So like that should be like, even like on my birthday, I tried to do a chill birthday, nothing happened. But even like next, like I just was busy weekend. I did went to Reps Creator Day. That was a good time. Me and the Winners Coaster JJ and He Makes Beats was in there for 8 hours. That was there for my birthday.
That was dope. Not to cut you off, I was scheduled to go to open house, but I had to make some other moves real quick.
Yeah,
But
we'll
it was
talk. We'll talk.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
But not nah. But oh yeah, go ahead, continue. How was it?
I want to tell the story. It was a great event, great time. It was like every interview we wanted to get, we almost got. It was a few people we weren't able to bump into. We almost had a Gillian Wallow Joan, but that ended up being a beautiful moment for another individual.
Right.
So like it was a good time though. It was a good to interact, bump shows with other creators, being an event where, and then also feel like what we do is still different enough. Like I'm not
Mhm.
even though you say we millennials, it's that where I'm from and where I was raised at, it's just a different level of comfort and energy in a room like that, and seeing how the kids moved. It was just a lot of social media switching, sharing. It
I
was
feel
it,
you.
was- it was that type of networking. But for me, it was like I was keen on getting the interview. So like I mean, like even when everybody was
I
started
get
enjoying the event, I'm like, hold on, let's we
I
got to get these people.
I feel you because you're really on the hey, I'm coming in here to like everybody else just knows how to play what society is right now, but you
Yeah.
know, a certain different type of level. You've seen certain things in life that just make you different, even though you came up in it, like the social media era too. Like we saw the beginning of
Yeah,
that. Like, but
and that's the difference. The beginning of that, like I remember when Instagram was just pictures.
yep,
Like I remember when we just like decided to be on Twitter, and when Twitter was the real, like they think
yep,
Twitter wild now, and it's the real wild west. So I said all to say, but I know that motherfuckers are like, I'm not gonna remember you after this conversation, even though how impactful you may be. If I'm here and you don't have a name on my radar already, this is just a nigga talking to me.
right,
But for me, if I can get some content, film it, put it out, make it look fly, and
yeah.
then you be like, oh shit, that's me. Oh shit, who cut? You might want to look into it.
I
Then
feel you.
I just
I
saw that
definitely understand.
angle of it rather than the, oh well, let's just exchange information and sit here and listen to these speakers speak, who all said great, wonderful things, but it's a similar thing being said. Like podcasting is at a plateau to me, at a certain point where people have figured out this machine and how they want to produce it and sell it. And now everybody's just doing that method of, oh yeah, the same motivation.
I
You got
feel
to
you.
get out there yourself. Don't be not similar to our message, but on the surface message, like
I
very
feel you.
surface
I get it.
level
I get it.
conversation. That's what
Right.
I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, and that leads me to also. I mean, that was dope, and I want y'all, like anybody who heard him, I want y'all to really hear him when he's saying that, because he's going in there to make sure he's memorable. He finds a way to find a client in a sense, even if it came to that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
not necessarily like it doesn't have to be a client, just someone you network with, somebody you build with, but it can be a client, it can be future business and a business relationship, and if it leads to friendships and all, it's all gravy. So we're not saying like y'all method isn't like because y'all figured it out. We're just saying like, hey, but sometimes don't always just go in there just so on a personal level, on a business level. But
And
that
even when you pushing the business, just go in there and understand how you would be in this moment. Sometimes somebody up here getting paid whatever X amount. I'm here. I want to get in, get out. I know what type of event it is. So I'm going to be for the people, but my end goal might be, and also I might be here to see some other people that I know, maybe my peers. So you run
yeah,
up to me
yep.
for this picture, all right, cool, and your little spill about your pod or your show or your content or your initiatives could just fall on deaf ears.
Right.
When if you try and do some business, hey yo, I need transfer me real quick. Well, I don't exchange information that way, but also yo, you're going to see this when it comes out,
Right.
and if it's done right, you might want to work with me later.
Right. And then how I wanted to piggyback off of what you were saying, like where in a sense saying like some things are just becoming oversaturated. Like when you is that what you kind of meant when you were saying like podcasting plateau as far as like the
I
method
I don't I
everybody
don't
said?
I don't like the word oversaturated. I mean, as far as it being an industry that was so like I said, like Twitter, Raw Wild West. When podcasting, like when we hit when it hit its boom as a whole for our type of demographic, like when Joe Budden start getting Spotify checks and different people start getting it. From there on, we have progressed into a point to where it is now like, all right, this is what podcasting is for this time period. Like I still think it's going to grow and develop. There's still new niches being developed. There's still we're at podcast about podcast about podcast now. It's niggas podcasting about somebody else, podcasting about somebody else. So like it's hitting different lanes and different things, but the message we're being told as creators and how to do it is real similar. It's the ad game, it's this game, and even that is like a social. Hey, you got to build. They'll say you got to build a quote following, you got to build a following, you got to build a viewer like now I'm trying a community. You got to build a community, and then of course we know that, but like all right, what did you do to take it from here to here? Like scaling a business is like the conversation I'm interested in because right now it's hard for some podcasters. Like
Right.
again, as a
Right.
podcast fan, some podcasts going bye bye.
I'm with you there too. It's like learning how to scale because at the same time, that's why sometimes I'm one of those people who I don't really watch podcasts because I didn't want to get trained to see, oh, this is how everybody else is doing it. So I have to emulate that. Now I understand like when I pay attention to great things, I'll get like I'm the type, okay, let me find like the top 3, top 5 and see what they all do in common and then take those type of pieces like a Kobe cop like figuring out Jordan like okay what makes this great, what does he do when he does this step to turn around and fade, like like it's just those things just to make me elevate my game and everything. But at the same time, I just didn't want to get caught up into just how everybody and then I look like someone else. And I'm not saying there's not a podcast like shout out to Keeping It a Bean Pod because I say that's one of the only pods that I really watch that's not like solely interview based where
Yeah, we gotta do a collab.
where
I need B up here.
where I was because they're speaking the same. We're talking the same conversation. We're speaking on the same things. They just may say it differently, and they might talk more about politics and everything. But you know, we talk about what we're experiencing, what we know as well. And again, finally getting to that point where I say I'm piggybacking off of. I was able to go read to Winston Hicker Charter School. I was able to read my book. I was invited up, and man,
Oh man, I need let me hit the
it,
let me make sure I got this thing right so I can see through here. I think I fixed some stuff, so let's no wrong button. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh,
not the crickets.
not the crickets. I fixed it applause.
But
Press the applause. But yeah, you saying we changed shit up.
but man, it was man. When I tell you, it was one of the most exhilarating experiences. That man, it feels so surreal. It only happened 2 days ago. No, 3 days ago. No, 2 days ago. Yeah, I'm forgetting. That's not the typical day of shooting. Yeah, 2 days ago, man, it just feels so surreal. I'm like, because as I do with why people see me interact with music, it's because I feel like I have an obligation to help move the culture and the community forward because I love it so much and I'm a part of it. So being able to do that, going able to read, especially like read my book and knowing that it's helping the community, it feels like, hey, the message I'm saying on this show and these episodes is not in vain because these are the skills, these are the affirmations and gems that I'm trying to give that I give through my books as well for children. So seeing that it was appreciated and understood and valued and being invited up and I was able to go talk to the kids and made me feel like, hey, in this space, even with the podcast, because I think that goes into that because it's the same message, I'm doing my I'm doing my duty to society. So I'm really doing what I'm saying that we're about. I'm really about community. I'm really about, hey, let's build each other up. Let's network with each other. Let's build the next generation because there are future leaders. So when I say I take that serious, so that was like that breakthrough moment where I'm like, I'm able to really be in front of these kids and they understand, or not necessarily that they completely understand the message, but they're getting it, they're grasping it, they're receiving it. Even the teachers and the principal being invited up when they seen the book and they read it and they appreciated it and they liked it. It just, man, it was a great experience. And
Man, I'm
after,
glad you got to experience that, bro. That's it's a real satisfying thing. Back in the day, me and one of my homeboys, I say homeboys, I'm cutting that out. Me and one of my guys, like what, yo? It's been a while. Me and one of my guys, me and one of my guys, were a part of this group started by my other brother. It was called 1,000 Strong, and it was an initiative to go talk to kids in the city.
mm,
That 6th to 8th grade time
okay,
those are crucial times before you get to high school, and it was like just to go speak to the kids and how they felt, and just like stories alone, like even being there, you can kind of see just going back and seeing like it's like because sometimes adults we don't get back in the school classrooms until our kids are back in those type rooms. So going to see and
right,
hear the kids interact and be able like, yo, don't talk to your man like that, like yo, this could be a friendship can end the day or it could last a lifetime,
hmm
but respect each other as much as you can. So at least whenever you think back on this moment, you know it was like it's all cool. There's no problem. So I mean, it was a good initiative. We did that for a couple different schools. It was a great time. But yeah, I definitely know that experience, and but not to the level of reading your own personal book. I know that had to feel great, where kids is just enamored by your words, your
hmm
thoughts, and how your view on just this whole thing we do is life. So I mean, applause to you again. We gonna press the button.
thank you, appreciate it.
You know what I'm saying? We need more of that, you know what I'm saying?
And similar to like what you said, man, one of the moments because what I saw from one, I I love seeing all the little black faces. I was like, I said, wow, this is beautiful and this is a beautiful school. And when every child spoke, I realized, hey, we're we're there's that next generation. Like we got speaking on like me and you, we got kids around these ages, and so every time they spoke and wanted to talk, but then when they stood up and had to speak, they get real quiet. I was like, oh, they're all just babies. But one of the best moments, and I feel like when I really thought about it afterwards, what that moment might have looked like, because a young girl, she asked, because they had Q&As afterwards, and young girl asked, why can't I see the crown? And I said, that's because you have to believe it's there, and you have to know that it's in you, and it makes you your unique self. I said, because you're a princess that's going to be a queen one day, right? And she said yes. But when I thought about it later, because I was like, in that moment, I just felt like I was like, oh, I talk to her like I would my daughter. But then when I thought about it, I said, what if she's not getting that at home, especially from a man? Like, what does that moment do for that child? Because then one of my family members who works at the school, and she texted me later on that day and was like, man, I wish I could have been there, but they say you did great. They love said they're still talking about it. Man, I'm telling you, Jay, it took me all day to really process it. Like I had so much anxiety when I got home and everything, because just simply, and this would be a topic we could talk about on another episode, but because it felt like it felt like such a breakthrough, and I was pulling, like, like the tangle, like when you getting out of something, and it's like that was holding you, and like it's the tangles are finally popping off, and it
Mhm.
felt like so many of my insecurities I may have
Just
had,
left your body.
like it was just like peeling off me, and I was like, and I didn't realize how much I was wrapped in it still, like of knowing, hey, they like the book, but to me, like what I think, I'm like, I'm not the best speaker. I was like, I stumble over my words a lot and everything. So like sometimes I'm thinking that, like, oh man, what if I like, and it's just those moments. But every time, like when I step in the moments, it's always like, hey, bro, you're here now, got to do it. Like so, but then man, it was because then in the moment sometimes you're like, man, I hope they're really enjoying the book. But then after, when they got the Q&A, and I realized, hey, they were directing a lot of questions towards me in the book, and they got some detail orientated questions. Like it was like, how you get the pages so neat, how you get the words on there like that. And I'm like I did it on a I said I did the words myself on a program called Photoshop. Like, but I'm like, these are kids. I'm like, but who knows how they may retain it and learn it.
Right. Who knows that one spark of like, yo, I can. It's a program out there.
Hmm.
You can do it, and like it. I think again, I saw somebody tweet this, and it was a good thing to talk about. He was like, yo, it was somebody proposing on Twitter, and he was in the car doing it. It was after like 10 years, and he just was like holding it. I didn't listen to the comment. You just see a nigga holding the ring and proposing to a girl while she driving. It's the craziest thing
Hey
ever.
yo,
But the boy, his approach was like, yo, kids, like you see, like to me, this is what happened when theater leaves the school. And it was like, damn, that's a great correlation of like how like, yo, a theater class does prepare you for these type of moments and things when you have to be
I
more
see,
than a regular person. Like
I
that's
see,
the most
I see.
like even how we talk about romantics and
Hmm.
romanticizing things. That is still theatrical. Like yo, you put on production. Like
Right,
even you go back to your girl birthday, that was a production for you to put together.
right.
If you didn't have any creative, like if you weren't starved of creativity, like again, I don't know what your upbringing in school was, but I'm sure there were certain things that we grew up different. We grew up before they took everything out of school.
Mm.
There were still, you might have had an art class still
Yeah,
lingering,
yeah.
similar things that
Economics
might just
class, all
they
that.
they
Like,
keep that mind working and
hmm,
have you a little bit creative, and then also the media the way it was back then.
and not to cut you off, but you're absolutely right, because I didn't get into Photoshop till my senior year of high school, because I
Mhm.
had a computer graphics class. That's when I got introduced to Photoshop, and like I said, I was in there. I had my classmate doing my work for me. I'm in there making mixtape covers.
Hey yo,
Like I was like, so that introduced me, and I've been with Photoshop ever since. Like that's what I've always been doing it on, and then I was able to sharpen my skills. But yeah, man, and in that moment, it was like, man, who knows how much these books save. And the even doper part, man, because when I got there and I'm signing in, and the principal comes to me, and she's like, "Hey, Marcus, okay, and Mr. Moore, yeah, the other author's up there," and she already knows who you are, but I'm thinking it's off of,
The
maybe,
school might have told
yeah,
her,
yeah,
sent her
the,
who
the
she was
family
working
member
with.
that works
Yeah.
there might
Mm-hmm.
might have like. So when we get up there, this is before the kids come in. Me and her get to chopping it up, and I'm like, "Yeah, so how do you know about the book?" Like, so I'm thinking like she's gonna say this. She says, "No, it was part of this program, and I seen it, and I bought it for my class."
Damn.
And I was
So
like, "Man," because our books were pretty similar, but like hers was like just finding your career path and everything, but showing like kids that they can do and diversity and everything. So it was
mhm.
very similar in the books and affirmation wise. So, but I was like, like that's what I'm saying, man. It was so many things that my insecurities kept trying to hold me back with, but it was too many good things, where I was like, where I might have counted like three things I might have been bothered with myself. It's like six things that happened that were like, no, bro, but this happened that was so like I like far out to you like that you wouldn't expect, like, so that's why I said, and I'm not the one to hide that, man. I love, like, it's a different feeling to feel like people appreciate your craft. I said no matter what might have been said or how I looked online or anything, I was like, man, nothing like things like this, nothing is better than that, like, to know, hey, but for what it was for, not just, it wasn't on no social media stuff. It's like this book is doing what I intended it for. Like, I wanted this to help the next generation. And but now that I can say, hey, I wrote this, and then all the young black boys in there, and I get to interact with them. And then the dope thing is because the other, shout out Miss Kim, she read first, so I was following her lead, even though this was her first time too. But
Mhm.
she already knows what it's like
The
to deal with
classroom
still. Yeah,
politics, yeah.
exactly. So I'm like, okay, how to interact with the students and everything like that. So like I would just make sure, hey, who, like when I started, it's like a who in here knows what a crown is? Because these are kids from kindergarten to second grade. So it's like you throw the question out there, and then like somebody didn't get it at first, and but it was a decent answer. Because they said, like I said,
Difficult ass
surprisingly, like
answer on the
the
low.
kid was like, it's something you earn. I was like, well, technically, I was like,
Mm.
yeah, like, but and then, like, kid gave the other answer that I was mainly looking for,
That's what
like
I
some
say. That's a
prince,
real hard question on the low.
something that a princess and King Dwayne said exactly. So, but like I said, man, there's some bright kids too, and that's what made me even more happy, because it's like oh, these are some bright kids, and I'm seeing all the different personalities, but seeing all these young black faces, and they can see a black man, especially these young boys. Because one of the teachers had the last question, and she just, I guess that's how she wanted to encourage the kids. Said, "How old do you have to be to write a book?" And we were like, "Any age." So that way, so I know that was to encourage the other kids, but man, it was such a great experience. So to what you were saying, I'm like going all the way like
Back
15 minutes
around.
ago.
Yeah,
Like
back around. You know what I'm saying?
that, and that's how I felt like, hey, I don't want to just be on camera speaking this. I want to show that this is what I'm really doing, what I'm really about, and the message meant more to me getting to them more than them just getting some books. I was able to sign the books with them. I was like, man, this is so dope. And they even got one for the library. And I also donated six of my first book, I Can Do All Things, which is, they're both available on Barnes and Noble right now. Pretty
Go
soon.
cop that. Soon to be promo code KSB.
Yeah.
But no, man, congrats. And all I'm hearing is from what it seemed like in this season too, you about to be in live show king. You know what I'm saying? That's what it seemed like it's coming. It seemed like, you know what I'm saying, even though the kid, I get what you're saying, but feeling the energy you felt, I could just see you wanting more and more and more
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. Yeah, man. It was just so different, because that was just very different. Like I spoke in public amongst like adults, but the children with your craft, and it's something
Mm-hmm.
about like your craft. That's why I was like, that was the most exciting thing about it. Is like my message is getting through. My craft is appreciated. And man, it's great. And I love the fact, because even over the time like that we just took off a little, I was finding out other family members were tuned in. that I didn't know were tapped in. So it's just started being so much, and then even certain conversations I might have had with older people, and they kept reminding me, even when I didn't mention the podcast, we just talked about what's going on in the city, and I'm just giving my point of view, and they're letting me know, like, man, your voice is needed. And that's what started helping me realize, hey, you need to get back to the show. You need to get back on this, even if you're not, even if you're not completely motivated. Hey, you got an obligation now, and
Yeah,
like you
man.
said, to our fans and what the message really is and what it's about. So, and that's kind of what I wanted to definitely get into today. Is talking about, like, we started off with it, like, around it, like, I just wanted, like, can men, fathers, uncles, brothers, cousins, friends, all of us, we have to wrap our arms around these young men and these young people, man, because the things that have been going on, especially in the city, like, with the SEPTA shootings, and then now like, not, well, I'm not saying it like that, but in this case, somebody got shot that's close to someone that I'm close to.
Mm.
Luckily, thankfully, they didn't die and they weren't seriously injured. But it
But
just, like, when I saw some of the video and, like, seeing these young boys, but then, wait, forget that one. I saw one that really was like, I really was like, oh, I knew these kids did some disrespectful things, but I finally seen this video. I guess it been a thing where one of these young rappers from out here was on his ops grave site,
no,
and
yeah,
he was like with the shovel, and I was
yeah, like
like,
he was digging it up.
and the
Yeah,
sad thing, man, even on all the positive and what I'm talking about right now, in that moment, I looked at it like, yo, I can see why it's this bad. If they're doing this, I'm like, bruh, somebody cares for that person.
mhm.
It doesn't even have to be the gangster in their family. Cause that is like, yo, that is over the top. That's why I'm like, yo, when I saw that, I literally was like,
Yeah, poor action.
I
That's how Franklin didn't get his money.
I was like, I'm literally like, man, then I can see why it will always be a guy to keep score. I can see why it's like, yo, it is no going back from that. Because I'm like, yo, like, y'all can't play with people's family like that. And, man, and that's why I'm just like, men, uncles, fathers, brothers, cousins, whoever you are, mentors, community leaders, block captains, coaches, we gotta really wrap our arms around these young boys and really show them a different way and help them and really get to them and give them love and give them, like, try to give them wisdom and understanding, and not always just try to be their peer. Like, really give them some guidance, and really not, and don't hate on them. That's what they feel like. They feel like we're hating on them all the time. And sometimes, like, yo, you got to just let them know, yo, I've been there, and I'm just trying to let you know, I'm not trying to be in your circle. That's what I told my nephews uh when they got to kick it with me. I said, I love the fact that y'all may think like I'm just in my older corny phase. Like, I was like, yo,
Mhm.
because I didn't want to be my age and trying to hang with y'all in the club. Oh, where the girls at and all that. I didn't want to do that. I said I wanted to be y'all uncle and let y'all have y'all turn. I don't want to be in there trying to take up y'all turn and, like, still be in there with y'all and all that. I'm not saying in the future we won't have fun with each other, but
Yeah,
not in that way.
time and place for everything.
Right. And that's why I'm like, because I said I want to be able to help y'all. And I'm not hating on y'all. Y'all can laugh at me and all. I'm not saying y'all corny. Well, for one, my nephew's some fly ass young boys. They some fly, and they bright too, man. Real bright. Very proud of them. Very, very proud of them. Like these kids are smart, and they're very attentive. And I'm glad that I still have their respect in that way, to where they listen to me, and they respect what I got to say. But I was like, of course, we all gonna joke on each other, we'll clown each other. But like I said, but I let them know. I was like, yo, y'all are teenagers. I don't want to be. I don't have to look cool in that way to y'all. I was like, because for one, y'all saw me when in my late teens and young adulthood, and so y'all already know, like, I've been there. That's why they can understand in my case too. Like, yo, I've been there. Like, not saying I did things in front of y'all, but y'all did see me with females and all
Mhm.
that. You see me, how I dress, how I carry myself, and that's what I'm like. But they just got more of a, they got more of it up here. So, and I'm glad they have me and my brothers and all.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And no, you're right. It takes somebody to take to take different approaches to getting a young man to develop into a man. Because again, there's also uncles like again I don't know why Snowfall's on my brain, but like his uncle on Snowfall was a key part of his, even though that was down a different path.
Hmm.
Because and that's what I want to get into too. When you're a certain age, what cool to you is kind of fucked up. Like it's kind of
True.
like not what it would because it's kind of shaped by your environment and also your peers who
Hmm.
might got that's cool from that person you talking about. That is that young person hanging around and showing you this, and it was different for us. Like the world was so much more innocent. Like yo, the thing I got put on from somebody a little bit older was like Dragon Ball Z, and these kids right now is getting put on switches. So like it's definitely separate
Hmm.
different ways, but the approach he had in that show where he was involved in his nephew, like if my sisters had a kid, I would want my nephew to be able to be that person he could run to, and
Hmm.
sometimes even though he was had him busting traps for him with Bud, it was just a space for him to get away. Now the
Hmm.
action they was doing, but a lot of boys don't have that space to get away.
Right.
Like every what was comfortable to us ain't the same. Like these grandparents ain't the same grandparents. They've been saying that for years, but it's a
Hmm.
little different.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
hear a lot about how some grandmothers are younger and they have a different understanding of the world
Yeah.
than ours did, and it's not just the love care where grandma's let you do what you want. Now it's kind of like no, they either putting you to work or talking to you crazy. It's just separate, it's separate things going on in the world, and it's good to have somebody like you to be able to be like, all right, I'm gonna take a step back and then step in when I need to,
Yeah. Hmm.
and allow you to develop on your own, and then hopefully I step in at a point to really define what really cool is gonna be for you for the rest of your life,
Right.
because it's kind of defined. Then like what was cool, like we oh that's cool, we like that, but the
Yeah.
cool persona has been in you since you were a certain age. You just develop and it
Yeah.
blossoms more.
Yeah, cause it's not like I'm not in there. Even like I said, cause I'm not in there trying to come off like I'm hating on anything. So I'll ask them like, yo, what y'all listen to and all that. Even if it's the other artists that I don't listen to, but I'm like, yo, that's their time. Like so, it's like I'm not hating on it. They got if they got a track list full of young boy, like, hey, that's what they like, and I'm a respect it because I like what I like, and sometimes I like some of that.
Yeah,
So
it's a
so
balance in that,
so
like
yeah, so exactly. So that's why I'm like, yo, I'm not. That's why I said. But these young boys sometimes they don't have the discernment, and sometimes some of these older men are hating on them. Like
without a doubt.
they want to, but I was like, but I really come off like that's why even when like Jay going up and all them was here and we was chopping it up for the in the back for like another hour with them. I'm literally telling them like, yo, I'm trying to help you because I want you to when you go out there, I want you to look good. I want you to win. I'm not
Hmm.
giving you game just to go do this and then like you could look good one time. I'm like, no, bro, keep this mentality. I want you to win for real. Like, and that's why I said being able to do that with them kids, bro. If it made me feel like that, like, yo, I'm really doing my contribution to a community because when I thought about it later with these kids, I don't know who will remember. But what if one person does remember what I say to them and changes everything? And I meet them one day in the future the same way I was able to meet the other author that already had my book coming up there. I was like, it was just so different, man. It's so surreal too. I've been talking about it for a few days because like that's how why I keep forgetting that it was only 2 days ago. I'm like, man, because it was just so it was so surreal to me. And I know to some people it's not such a big deal, but I'm like, man, when your craft is appreciated and something you worked hard on, especially a book like that, that I was like, I had it written a completely different way, and it was going to be about something completely different. And then how it changed, and I took that year to really focus on it at the same time, like kind of at the same time. I really, when this show got started, because I like how I said, like how I planned it was I already was getting started on that book, but I was like, I don't want to start the podcast until this is in the illustration phase.
Hmm.
Once it started the illustration phase, podcast started. So that way was able to promote it on the
Yeah,
pod
have
by
your
the
own
time
marketing.
yeah, exactly. So sometimes like you just gotta sit there and plan. But man, and that's why I was like, man, when I see the news and what these young boys are doing, and I was like, man, we gotta really get around them. We gotta really get to them. We gotta really show the next generation we got to give them more guidance. We got to give them more wisdom, but we got to be more wise as well. And I'm speaking from my age and age group and a few years younger. Like we, because we're running the world right now. We're the adults right now. We got school age children. Some of us got kids in high school. It We got to get our arms around them, for real.
Yeah, yeah, and find out a way that does that best suits your way of speaking and being around somebody. Like everybody can't write a book, but you can go into your community, so you can go hoop with the kids if that's your
Hmm.
thing. If you make music, you can offer a studio session.
Right.
Just somewhere you can get somebody that where the thing you're doing is really is you're really hiding your motivation. I'm trying to get to you so I can hopefully steer you into a right path.
Right.
But all you might see is a free opportunity. But sometimes that is like a barber's doing free haircuts back in the day
Hmm.
helped a lot of kids. That shit don't exist no more. There's a lot of things that have time, and again, for me, it's really society. And like you said, we kind of run the world. It's not us yet. It's still those holdovers from that end of the next generation that are still around that have poisoned and tainted a lot of how the world is being viewed based upon what agenda they want to push.
But I think because us as millennials, we're the ones combating that right now.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, so we take a lot of that burden on for the younger
yeah,
generation,
yeah,
because
yeah. To help make the
yeah,
change.
because we see it with in family and everything, where we're like, hey, they're looking at things different than we might have saw it this way because that's what we grew up in. But it's like, and then not to mention, like, very different from our grandparents, like the way they grew up. So the way our parents were raised, so the way we were raised, so the way we're raising our children, it's like, like we don't beat our kids, like, for real. Like, we
Yeah.
just, because we're like, yo, like, some cases we don't know how we might affect them in this day and age. So
Well, I
sometimes,
mean,
like,
I think we do know how. We are the. I mean, as a kid who got beat, I know what it did. I felt it. I was there, and I know that it wasn't as monumental in my decision making. After, like, it's like anything you can do. Like, hey, some people hands get so used to hot things that they can touch a burning stove and the hand don't burn them. Same thing for whoopings can go.
mm.
Like, yo, you can get beat and it just be a regular day in the office. All right, back to what the hell I was doing. So like that don't like
Oh
for me it's
man.
the repeated communication. Like, yo, you gotta continue to talk to their kids
Hmm.
and eventually they will get it. You can't get frustrated. You can't feel like it's a waste of time. Please stop telling your kids you hate repeating yourself. Repeat yourself.
Hmm.
They need it.
Hmm.
Because that's the only that's gonna help make a change. They're gonna remember what you said to them eventually.
Right.
It's gonna click
Right.
eventually. Like again, for
Right.
me, life in my life, some things my mom has told me have clicked.
Hmm.
It'd be like, well, damn, I wish I would have thought about that 10 years
You're
ago.
right,
But
but
it sometimes it took me to learn that.
absolutely
So,
right.
but again, I'm hoping my kid catches that more because I'm the way I'm giving him the message and delivering it's just a little
Right.
alter. And again, no shade to our parents and their generation, but they had to figure out their own different problems.
Right.
There were different things going on. The world was a very different place in each generation. That's why I'm one against anybody calling anything a golden era. There was no great generation. I don't need people to go back. Oh, we used to treat people like this. I need it to be a new way.
Right.
I need things to new and
Because
progress and get
things
better.
have progressed. Like,
Yeah.
so you gotta get with the time. And that's what I'm saying, because our generation made it okay, started making it okay to seek help and get healing. So that's why we're the ones combating with the other generation. Like, yo, you gotta understand, because we're dealing with these problems that we need help for. So we're trying to prevent anybody else from going this way. And even just the example, not even if it's just the healing part, like with trauma and anything. The joy it brings me, bro. When I really thought about it, I said, because when I'm thinking about the other family members that I watched, that got to see, and and I was like, every piece of every part of me in my life, even the fact that I don't like, you see how hard it is to get me to drink or anything, and I'm like, yo, but to my family, to a lot of them, I'm not just talking about my immediate, everything I do, a lot of what I do is different from anything like anybody lived, because some of them, they're real closed in. There's like, they're not big on social media, like nothing like that. And I'm like, but my nephew, he's interested in doing things like YouTube and all that, because he watched me grow up. Like, because when I thought about it, I was like, I'm thinking he's just talking about it right now. I'm like, wait, I forgot. He saw me making music videos and they're on YouTube. He remembers my music videos. So he grew up seeing my uncle's always been on YouTube doing this. Like so when he does it. So like he wants to do it and I was like, man, like just and then how different my daughter is seeing things from an angle, different angle, and how when we did our her progress report again with her school, and they said, yo, as normal, she's excelling, and I said to my wife, I was like, you know what's crazy? Why I think she's developing pretty good too as well is because we don't pressure her to be like, even though, yeah, granted, she's 4, but I'm like, but we're not, you gotta get good grades, you gotta get like, you gotta be like this, you gotta do that. It's like, yo, we teach it, but like, we also gonna have some fun. We also gonna do this. You can also see your creative eye. Man, one morning when I was taking her to school, because I don't really take her to, I always pick her up. Because I'm always working by then. Like, so, by the time she's going to school. So, rare occasion during the break, I took her to school, but it was like she looked so nice. We was like, man, let's do a quick photo shoot. Man, I brought the lights, like everything. Set it up, took the pictures. I was like, yo, I don't because she can grow up and this is normal to this generation now. It's okay to say, yo, I want to be a YouTuber and you can make a great living off it. So now it's like, hey, let me cultivate that creativity. It's the same way earlier when I said, hey, like she has a pretty good steady hand because I was like, because every time I doodle, I just teach her how to do it. Like, so she knew how to draw a heart like already like a year ago. Cause I'm like, yo, this how easy it is. Do this, do that. And then I'll draw like something like a little ghost or something, like show you like the easy shapes and all that. So she writes her name, everything. Like, so it's just those type of things where I'm like, but it's not we're not on you like, hey, you gotta be like this. It's just like, yo, if you do that. And that's what I feel about my nephews. Like, yo, they're so cool but they're also AB or just honor roll students. Last time I checked, like, but I'm like they're both doing well. And like I said, my older nephew, he's in a vocational school, which is like trade school, so he's already learning how to fix cars. But I'm like, but these are fly young men, and that's why I'm like, yo, that's what makes me so proud because I'm like, yo, they're doing things so differently, and I'm glad I was one of the people they were able to be influenced by, as well as my daughter and that generation, to be able to see okay, I don't have to do things this way and things be good for me. I could do this, and they're doing it, and that
No,
and that,
yeah,
and I hold that I hold that up with a lot of pride, and
as you should.
thank Charter Wissahickon Charter School for the gift they gave me. Gave me a nice card saying thank you for coming, and they gave me a mug. And to me, when I get appreciated for things like that and recognized, man, I put that on the shelf with other things that I got recognized for. Like I say, those are my trophies.
Trophies, yeah.
These are my trophies because a moment like that can't be taken back from me because it was such a breakthrough moment. And like I said, like such a breakthrough. That's why I was like, I had so much anxiety afterwards because it took me all day to process it. And then when I finally was able to pray and like really getting like all lights off, door closed behind me, just solitude. And I was able to then help me get through it. But man, I was, like I said, man, it was just surreal, man.
No, that's what's up, bro. That sounds like a great experience. I hope you get to do it as many times as you like.
Hmm.
I can't wait for the next installment. Seem like you're getting motivation from there in different ways, and it's putting you in different ways. As far as you spoke earlier about motivating the pod, I think one of these things about podcasting is you can find it in the conversation. Also, like you don't always have to come in knowing. Like again, and we do this great on this pod, which is improving, but
Hmm.
we can stumble into a great conversation off of
Right.
just GP and that. Now I understand nobody's actually getting up, leaving the crib, those type things. But hey, if you get in the building, for me, that's why I try and make sure I religiously record my pod. Even though I'm not in the best of putting my shit out right now, it's still a religious thing for me to do. Get through, have the conversation, critique myself, see how I'm
Hmm.
doing. Look at other things around the landscape, see what's changing in the space. Because and the beauty of also holding on to something right now, it's I get to make sure I cultivate it for right now
Hmm.
and not something I started a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago. It's for today and how I produce and put it out. So it's just for me. I find solace and power even when I hate coming in. Like some days I'll be waking up like, man, I don't want to record shit. But if I hit the group message, everybody's still ready to come and they pulling up. I'm down here no matter what. Fuck
Mhm.
how I feel.
Right.
I'm going to try and get through it because that's how I feel like you get greatness from this podcast shit. And like I could think of the best topics in the world, but guess what? One day I might just mention one random thing and that's what go.
Right.
It's just for me, and a lot of it's talking through it because you are developing a personality. This is broadcasting,
Mhm.
so in a sense, you got to. For me, I got to continue to do it because if you stop too long, you can alter how like you can let other influences alter how you want to be. And
Yeah.
as you power through it, you can still critique yourself and move. There's not going to be a wave in time to where you're like, you could be sitting on the couch and be like, oh shit, look, he made it. That pod, they just signed a deal with such and such.
Mhm.
And you be like, well, damn it. All right, man. They did it almost as long as I did the first time. Let me try and do what they did instead of
Yeah.
being like, well, I've been going through. That was just his moment. I'll have mine.
Right.
So I think motivation is something that is essential to the soul, but it's also something that can come from so many different places. And it's something that you don't really need to start. You really don't just start. You can find the motivation later for some things. Like, hey, if you want a
Yeah.
YouTube channel, just talk about your favorite things for a little moment. Then that other motivation, oh, boom, actually, this is what I'm going to do. This is the idea. And that changes your world forever.
Mhm. You're right.
Yeah.
Right, man. That was dope because, like you said, like you came right in with it, and I was like, and it all led to just let's wrap our arms around
Yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
community and let's be community based. And that's what we be about. Like how I always mention, like when you brought up when you would say village, 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 and I'm like, yo, that helped me create that mentality to be more focused on that. Like so that's why I'm saying. And that book particular, a crown fit for you. I said one of the first tests I did was when your son was over, and I was like, and they saw me working on, but this one I had some of the illustrations, so I was like, they coming in here, they coming in here to
Let me see
so
one
let me
demo
see
thing.
how they
Sure.
react to it, and I was like, so their reaction to it was cool, so that's why I was like, okay, this is what I wanted them to see, and I wanted them to see some type of representation, like where he can see someone or they can see someone that looks like them. I even did that in the moment. I asked the kids, "Do you see someone that looks like you?"
Yeah. Oh, you was up there full cheesy dad. Hey, guys.
Yeah, man.
This one, this could be you.
Some of them
This could be you.
some of the kids was like, no, I
I don't see nobody with me, cuz you ain't got nobody with a fade, man. You see these waves? But no, man, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing to have, man. And I mean, even for like your daughter, if you continue this series, I hope you do, and continue this journey of being an author and having more and more publications. Soon you probably just be like, come along, tag along, and she get to see you in
Mhm.
that light, and that might do something for her. That might change. That might just put a spark to where she's now running a publishing company or owning it.
Mhm.
Just different things that inspire differently through your work and your craft. Like every time, whenever my kid down here, he on a mic, it'd be like, yeah. I'm glad like the investment pans out no
Yeah.
matter what. Like for me, I can make $0 from this for the rest of my life and still have the ball.
Because you're right, because that's the thing I've been paying attention to. It's like even if it's not like how you said your son may come in here and watch you do it, he may not even be on the yo, I want to be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Teach me how to use everything else. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing this down here. So that way you're like, oh, that is one less thing you don't have to worry about. And also you can find a way to help them make money. That's one of the things I talked to my nephew about when we were talking about certain things creatively. And I was like, all right, like because again, even though you brought up I didn't watch Snowfall, so you said I think I know what you're talking about because I definitely seen like a clip of them, but the one that said get some squabbles,
Yeah, yeah,
like
Julie.
it's like,
Yeah.
but but yeah, but sometimes I was like, when you still have a man to show you how to do certain things, that's the one thing I said. I was like, yo, I wish I really did have a man around that really did teach me how to hustle, not necessarily drugs and all that, but just show me like, yo, this is how you get to $1. This is how you move. This is how you get them. This is how you talk. This is how you move. This is how you got to walk in looking like like those things. So that's why I'm like, okay, well, my nephew, I gave him a proposition. I said, you help me with this, you get a percentage of everything that gets sold or moved or something like that, because I want you to get a head start too.
Mm-hmm.
And who better for it to come from to somebody that's going to really care. Hey, because I don't have to do this right now because you're a minor. But I'm like, no, I want you to be so ahead when you actually get started, that you're just like it's a cakewalk, and you got my help.
Yeah, and again, child labor laws for what they are. You can definitely show and understand without it being manual hard. Like you can really show in
Hmm.
somebody something in a very joyful, fun way that doesn't make them feel like they're working because this could not be work to you.
Right.
It's whatever it can be. And again, a lot of that is going back to financial literacy, which I'm glad you're teaching them, which our kids need to learn. Because even the idea of getting to $1 to me is so different. Like if I can go back and just change how I would do things and
Right,
understand
man. Right.
and maybe hold on to a refund check or two. It's just certain things that and the idea that from financial literacy for me a kid was always save, save, save,
Right.
but you got
And
to
that's
buy
what
what
I
you
just.
want.
That's what
So you gonna borrow, and
I.
then now you in
that
debt. Like
that
that's how that shit
that's what
go.
I was just telling my little brother, because he doing well, and I was like, I said, bro, what I learned is just saving it and letting it sit isn't also, it's not always building either. I said the way you want to be able to live, I said, yeah, man, you're gonna have to make that thing move
Make that money
somewhere.
work for
Yeah,
you. Make
exactly.
it work for you. Understand
Exactly.
what different things are. Understand how just the things that were hidden from our community for so long that are
Right.
regularly available and free on the internet, over there with EYL and them and that whole journey they on to bring financial literacy to our community
Hmm.
and what they doing. Even like for the cheesy stuff they do. Like Ian Dunn, like one of my favorite creators, when he goes in that audience and he says, "Make some noise if I made you some money," and that shit go crazy, that means something. Like, yo,
Oh, that means a lot to
to
people.
turn to have your audience also be able to reap the benefits of what you're
Yep.
preaching right there in the live in the
Hmm.
moment is great. And I want that to continue and show our kids that it's different ways, even from an education point. Like, I'm different when it comes to education. But I know it's needed for some people, but even there in a sense of being able to reinforce, like let's say you put a book and now and you at that, all right, y'all in that teenager, let me start teaching you about how to handle your money.
Right.
Hey, yo,
Right.
this book is showing you what a 401k is, and this shows you
Hmm.
how to boom, boom, boom. This book shows you what stocks and bonds are, like whatever it may be, to just best teach things that aid that helps relieve some of the pressure that our communities feel.
Right.
Because it's not all, I
Right.
wouldn't say everything's related to money, but having access to be able to live properly mitigates a lot of the poverty and feelings in our community right now. Like people are hurting. Let's be real. It's fucking hard as shit today. Like
Hmm.
it's not what it was for any other generation. This shit is ridiculously expensive. These
Right.
kids fucking are maybe wearing the same clothes 3 times a week. Who knows?
Hmm.
But because it's just different. Like a carton of eggs is probably triple what it was when we was kids, or quadruple. So
Yeah.
it's definitely in a sense of you got to make sure that if you really want to help the youth, you help relieve some of that financial pressure that falls on our
Right.
shoulders. Like I was yesterday outside taking my little break, and in my head I was like, yo, I never want my child. I was listening to Gil. Gil talked about, and that's the one thing we're gonna get on real quick. Fuck all y'all niggas hating on NIL deals. That's bullshit to me. These kids are changing their families' life, their lives, and schools are still
Mhm.
making billions of dollars off their back. Stop hating on it. I see a thing in Congress. We're around an election year, and y'all was like, all right, well, in 2020 when y'all was letting everything rock, y'all was cool, but coaches wasn't. But now that it's years later, you're gonna try and reteach the message that this ain't cool for kids to make money, which is some bullshit. These is grown ass adults. Let me say not kids, young adults. These kids are making money in college,
Mhm.
where it's some people's most struggle time, even if
Yep.
they come from wealth, because you might get put out on your own. So like, yeah, cut that BS. But Gil was talking about why his son wouldn't do a deal because like, what do you need money for? And that's a great point to being a parent. Like, yo, like my son ain't signed no NIL. Why? Because like, yo, if I call him right now and be like, yo, what do you need money for? What you mean? How much money you need for what? Right. Like that simple of you don't have anyone or need in the world. You just gotta focus on basketball. That's what my life has afforded you to do.
Mhm.
And for me, and also he talked about his lady, like, yo, these kids talking about buying their mother a house, and that's like for you, that's your wife, that's my future wife. You not buying my wife like you don't gotta buy my wife a house, nigga. I'm
Mhm.
buying my wife a house.
Mhm.
Like that motivation can be just so switched. Cause for me, it's been the motivation for almost anybody I bumped into through my life and from our backgrounds. It's yo, I really want to help my parents out, buy my mom
Right.
a crib, make sure my dad get the driver's Corvette, do whatever it is to release some of that pressure. And for me in my life right now, for these next 10 years, is making sure my kid, when he's a 15-year-old boy, that's not on his mind at all. Is living his life to the fullest, whatever that is for him. Whatever he needs to do, not chasing a dollar. Because again, at me at 15, I wanted the damn money.
Mhm.
I needed it. I wasn't asking nobody for shit. I'm still to that way. Like I gotta get this money on my own type shit. Like, and that mentality puts you in a situation to make some bad choices. So having that erased from our community will do so much wonders because your parents are taken care of because they learned here, they took the class, they did this, whatever it was. If it was school, that was their plight. Whether it was entertainment, was their plight. Whether it was sports, was their plight. And now the sports world being open to us fully, like Jalen Hurts' management team being all black women. That's representatives like his publicists and all that too. That's
Yep.
the future. Like there's everything we love in this community. There's businesses all around it. And we all fit all those bills you can build. And like for me, ain't no better than a family business. Even like when I look back and listen to old music and you understand how this person's daughter, and that's family. Like like you were this person because of what I did. Like, and now you can take it to a next step. Like Tracy Ellis Ross. Like it's different people that take a name and pull it to a whole nother step.
Right.
And you want that to be the case. So find your thing, find what you love, do it, and then teach your kids to do whatever it is they love, because that should be the message. Not we gotta take care of big mama need a new house, you know what I'm saying? Health, all that shit is cool. But if you take care of business right now, that ain't gotta be the thing when they adults.
Even for ourselves. Like I don't want my child to feel like that's what they have to do.
Oh yeah.
Like they could do that as a gift, but I don't want to be in a position where they have to do that. Like you said, where it's like, bro, you don't gotta buy your mama a house. That's my job. Like, so
do you see how you grew up? That's what I want. I want to have a kid who would be like, cuz you was not whatever your friend, and I hope his friend's not going to. I hope I'm able to affect life enough that where my kid's friends and who he bumps into has different upbringings. But you might bump into some that do have that, and I would love to be like, yo, tell him to come holler at me. Let me help change his lifestyle right now so he can find out that boom. Let's speak to the parents. Where your parents at? Where your mom at? What's going on, y'all?
Even if it's not like to speak to the parents, just you taking them under that wing, you can show them. That's what I said.
But even like if I can get to your parents and be able to tell them, this is how you can turn that $1 you made into this now, and check whatever it may be. Your kid is feeling some of your stress,
right?
And that's what you never want as a parent.
Right.
So how do you relieve that? Let me give you some games so I can stop. Because me putting him on just might turn it back into them. Like it might be all right. Well, here you go, mom. I've waited my whole life to be able to do this. Now I still want to do that as a grown man today. Like, here, mom.
Right.
Never work again.
Right.
But again, I want my kid to be like, at that when he's at that age, be like, cuz we don't work no more. In fact, we on the beach in Cabo, cuz, you know what I'm saying? You can fly down whenever you, I'm saying, done whatever you was doing. Whatever that path may be. So it's just trying to get financial literacy to be one of the main things that we keep the main thing also.
Right. Good points, man. Good points. Well, as I promised, I did say I was going to have some news. So, and those are some good points, my boy. Because you're absolutely right. I see what you mean. Like let's get it back to also helping each other. That's why I said us as peers as well. We got to be locked in. We got to network. We got to connect. But yeah. So I want to just bring up what's going to be coming new to the channel. It's going to be King Status Podcast, Crown to Crown edition. And this is where you could get me, like sometimes when I'm just getting up, talk about my thoughts and all that, even if it's like 15 minutes you get from me. And then also my one-on-one interviews whenever I have some, because sometimes you'll see guests up here, but sometimes everybody has things going on as well and all. And then some people I may just connect with and then be able to get them on the spot. So these will be I can't give an actual how frequent they will be yet, but because it's still in the works. But I want to just be able to get to the people so that way I can never really give y'all hiatus, even if it is a couple weeks again like that, like how it just happened. This is just my transparency, and it's just to be able to give y'all more craft, give y'all new things to the channel. You might even get vlogs here and there. You'll be able to see some behind the scenes, whatever it is. But it's going to be Crown to Crown edition. That's what it's going to be called, Crown to Crown. But it's still King Status Podcast. And like I said, it'll be one-on-one interviews. It'll be me talking. You might see us come and do, even if it's, you know what, we'll figure it out some more. But it's still going to be, like I said, under the King Status Podcast. It's just an addition to it, just to give more to the channel, more of me being able to speak on some things differently, and like I said, different interviews, different type of vibes and everything. So King Status Podcast, Crown to Crown edition, coming soon. And this has been the King Status Podcast. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You have been with me, your host, Mr. Moore the King, along with
Mr. Prolific, aka J Duce. Go cop that Friendly Neighborhood Podcast. Friendly Neighborhood Podcast merch coming soon.
There we go. If
I
do say so,
myself.
we'll see y'all once again next week. Peace. Appreciate y'all.